Imagine this. A serial killer is terrorizing a city. People are so terrified that they rush out to buy home security systems to protect their families. But what if the man installing those security systems was the serial killer himself? Welcome to Crime Hive. Today, we are opening the file on one of the most twisted, arrogant, and terrifying serial killers in American history. A man who outsmarted the police, the FBI, and the public for over 30 years. He was a phantom, a ghost. But his reign of terror didn't end in a dramatic shootout. It ended because of a single, hilariously stupid mistake involving a 1990s floppy disk. This is the unbelievable true story of the BTK Killer. To understand how a monster hides in plain sight, we have to go back to 1974 to the quiet city of Wichita, Kansas. It was a place where people left their doors unlocked. But that false sense of security was shattered on January 15th, when 4 members of the Otero family were found brutally murdered inside their own home. There was no forced entry. The phone lines were cut. The city was thrown into absolute panic. The police were completely baffled. They had no witnesses, no motive, and 0 suspects. But the killer wasn't satisfied with just committing the crime. He wanted the fame. He wanted the world to know how brilliant he was. In October 1974, a local newspaper received a chilling letter. In it, the writer took full credit for the Otero family murders. He described details of the crime scene that only the killer could possibly know. But the most terrifying part of the letter was how he signed it. He wrote, "The code words for me will be, bind them, torture them, kill them. BTK." From that day on, the BTK Strangler became a nightmare that haunted America. Over the next several years, BTK struck again and again. He claimed the lives of young women like Shirley Vian and Nancy Fox. He would break into their homes, hide in the shadows, and wait for hours until they went to sleep. But what made BTK so unique among serial killers was his absolute obsession with the media. He didn't just want to kill. He wanted to play a game. He would send twisted poems to newspapers. He would call the police from public payphones to report his own murders, just to hear the panic in the dispatcher's voice. He left clues in public library books. He mocked the detectives, calling them blind and stupid. The FBI profiled him as a highly intelligent, completely uncatchable criminal mastermind. But who was the man behind the mask? The terrifying truth is that he wasn't a drifter or a stereotypical crazy person living in the woods. His real name was Dennis Rader, and his daily life was shockingly normal. Dennis was a married man with 2 children. He was a Boy Scout troop leader. He was the president of his local church council. And most chilling of all, for years, he worked for ADT Security Services. While the entire city of Wichita was terrified of BTK, Dennis Rader was the exact man coming into their homes to install their burglar alarms. He had the keys. He knew the codes. He was a wolf wearing the skin of a sheep. By the year 1991, after claiming 10 innocent lives, BTK suddenly stopped. The letters stopped. The murders stopped. For 13 long years, the city of Wichita slowly began to heal. The police thought he was either dead or in prison for some other crime. The BTK case went completely cold. Dennis Rader was getting older, focusing on his family and his church, living the American dream. He had gotten away with it. He had won. But serial killers have one fatal weakness: their ego. In 2004, a local news station ran a story about the 30th anniversary of the BTK murders. A lawyer even published a book suggesting that BTK was probably dead or had lost his mind. When Dennis Rader saw this on his living room TV, he was furious. How dare they forget about him? How dare they think he was dead? His massive ego simply could not handle being ignored. So, in March 2004, after 13 years of absolute silence, a local newspaper received a letter. It contained photographs of a 1986 murder victim and a photocopy of her missing driver's license. BTK was back. The city of Wichita was instantly plunged back into pure terror. For the next year, Dennis Rader resumed his cat-and-mouse game. He left packages in public parks. He sent cereal boxes filled with bizarre puzzles and dolls tied up with string. He was having the time of his life, proving to the world that he was still the untouchable genius he was in the 70s. But technology had changed since 1974, and Dennis, now a 60-year-old man, didn't fully understand it. He wanted to send a message to a local TV station using a floppy disk, but he was paranoid that it could be traced back to him. So, he did something incredibly stupid. He communicated with the police through a classified ad in the newspaper, asking them a direct question. He wrote, "Can I communicate with a floppy disk and not be traced to a computer? Be honest." The police chief saw this and realized they finally had a chance. The criminal mastermind was literally asking them for IT support. The police published a reply in the newspaper. They lied. They said, "Rex, it will be okay. A floppy disk is totally safe. We cannot track it." And Dennis Rader believed them. On February 16, 2005, a local TV station received a purple 1.44 megabyte floppy disk from BTK. The FBI rushed it to their cyber division. They plugged it in. They didn't have to hack into the mainframe or crack complex codes. They simply right-clicked on a deleted Microsoft Word document inside the disk and selected Properties. The document's hidden metadata clearly showed two things. It was last saved by a user named Dennis, and the software was registered to the Christ Lutheran Church. Detectives immediately drove to the Christ Lutheran Church. They asked the pastor, "Do you have a man named Dennis working here?" The pastor replied, "Yes, Dennis Rader. He's the president of our church council." A quick DNA test from Dennis's daughter's medical records confirmed a 100% match to the crime scenes. On February 25, 2005, police surrounded Dennis Rader as he was driving home. They pulled him over and arrested him. The 30-year manhunt was over. While sitting in the interrogation room, Dennis Rader wasn't angry that he was caught. He was just confused and deeply hurt. He looked at the police chief, the man he had played games with for decades, and asked in a sad voice, "Why did you lie to me? How come you lied to me about the floppy disk?" The detective simply smiled and said, "Because we were trying to catch you." Dennis Rader, the terrifying BTK strangler, pleaded guilty to 10 counts of first-degree murder. In court, he described his horrific crimes with zero emotion, talking about them as if he were reading a grocery list. He was sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms, ensuring he will rot in a concrete cell until the end of his days. The man who outsmarted the FBI for 3 decades, who thought he was a criminal genius, was ultimately destroyed by his own arrogance and a simple click on a computer mouse. What do you think is the biggest mistake a criminal can make? Let us know down in the comments. If you enjoy deep dives into the dark side of true crime, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Until next time, stay safe, and see you on Crime Hive.